New Orleans in the early 1990s was a city of contradictions. Tourism was booming in the French Quarter, but the city was also battling one of the highest murder rates in America. The New Orleans Police Department was on the front lines of this struggle, but within its ranks lurked officers who had crossed to the wrong side of the law. This is the story of one such officer, Len Davis, whose betrayal of his badge would shock the nation. In 1984, Len Davis took his oath as a New Orleans police officer. He was assigned to the city's Fisher housing development, one of the most challenging beats in the department. Those who knew Davis in his early years described him as ambitious and hardworking, but warning signs would soon emerge. The Fisher development was notorious for drug activity and violence. It was here that Davis began to build his reputation, not as the protector he was sworn to be, but as someone to be feared. Residents would later recall how he ruled his territory like a personal fiefdom. By 1987, just 3 years into his career, the complaints began piling up. Excessive force, verbal abuse, intimidation. But in a department struggling with understaffing and overwhelming crime rates, these red flags were largely ignored. Between 1984 and 1994, Davis would accumulate over 20 formal complaints, an unusually high number even for officers working in high-crime areas. But Davis's true corruption went far deeper. FBI investigations would later reveal that he had built a sophisticated cocaine protection racket. For the right price, drug dealers could operate freely in his patrol area. Those who didn't pay faced brutal consequences. Kim Groves was a 32-year-old mother of 3 living in the Ninth Ward. On October 11, 1994, she witnessed something that would cost her life. Davis and his partner were conducting a stop of a teenager. Groves watched as the 2 officers started beating and pistol whipping the 17-year-old, mistaking him for a suspect in the shooting of a police officer. What Groves saw disturbed her enough to take action. The next day, Groves filed a formal complaint with the police department's Internal Affairs Division. She reported witnessing Davis pistol whip the teenager during the stop. While reports like this were supposed to stay anonymous, this wasn't a police department that followed the rules. What Groves didn't know was that she had just signed her own death warrant. Unknown to Davis, he was already the target of an extensive FBI corruption investigation codenamed Shattered Shield. Agents had placed wiretaps on his phone and were monitoring his movements. What they recorded on October 13th would chill even veteran investigators. At 7:45 p.m., Davis was recorded speaking to Paul Hardy, a local drug dealer who he had befriended. The conversation was chillingly casual.
You know what I want to do. Get that whore.
Davis provided a description of Kim Groves and her location. Hardy replied, "Consider it done." Less than 2 hours later, Kim Groves was dead, shot once in the head while standing in front of her home. Davis, still on duty, was one of the first officers to respond to the scene. Here was a sworn officer using his badge and his position to arrange a murder, then responding to the scene as if he was there to help. Shortly after Davis confirmed that Groves was deceased, he called his patrol partner to celebrate.
It's the whore. Yeah, rockabye.
With the FBI wiretap picking up clear evidence of Davis's murder-for-hire plot, the investigation moved quickly. Within days, both Davis and Hardy, the hitman, were in custody. The trial that followed would make legal history. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including dozens of recorded conversations and testimony from other officers who had witnessed Davis's corruption. In 1996, the verdict came down. Davis was found guilty of civil rights violations resulting in death, conspiracy to commit murder, and multiple drug charges. The sentence was unprecedented. Death. He became the first law enforcement officer in U.S. history to receive a federal death sentence for crimes committed while on duty. The case sparked a massive overhaul of the New Orleans Police Department. New oversight measures were implemented, including stronger internal affairs procedures and more transparency. The department also reformed its hiring and training practices. Today, the Len Davis case is studied in police academies nationwide as an example of the ultimate betrayal of the badge. It demonstrates how crucial it is to address early warning signs of misconduct and maintain strict oversight of those entrusted with public safety. The murder of Kim Groves revealed how a system meant to protect citizens could be turned against them. Her death led to crucial reforms, but also left deep scars in a community's trust of law enforcement. Trust that the New Orleans Police Department still works to rebuild today. Len Davis remains on death row at the U.S. Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana. Thanks for watching. There's actually one other police officer currently on death row. If you want to hear that story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can notify you when that video comes out.